Wait, what do you mean they don't like cannibalism? That doesn't seem right. Oh, hey there, fellow enjoyers. Sorry, I didn't see you show up. I was busy trying to figure out how to not die of starvation in RimWorld. Oh, what's that? You want me to tell you about my first RimWorld playthrough? Well, I don't mind, but I'm kind of still in the middle of that, so why don't we save that for the next video? What, you still want something? Huh. Okay, hold on a second. Here, let's start over so I can like get back into the vibe, you know. Give me 1 second. Hey there, fellow enjoyer. Didn't see you there, but now I do. I'm Kevin, but you already knew that, and I sure do love video games. Speaking of video games, recently after coming out of a 6-week-long Kenshi binge where I subsisted off of little sleep, fast food, and a love for removing the arms of Holy Nation paladins, I decided to try playing a game that other real-life humans could enjoy with me. So, after scouring the internet for some flavor of the month co-op game, I found this, AbiFactor. But what is AbiFactor? Well, if I had to make it sound like the blurb on a Steam page, I'd say it's like Half-Life if Half-Life was a survival craft with a little bit of SCP containment breach, but a lot more goofy than spooky. You see, I actually am one of those weirdos who likes survival crafts. Don't get me wrong, they absolutely are what people complain about, but I often find the resource collecting, crafting, cooking, etc. to be quite fun, even if at times a bit tedious. So this seemed like a game that I would quite enjoy.
Oh, baby!
After going through a tutorial with the best voice acting ever created,
consider it like chasing down an escaped specimen. You got a big brain, you got a big imagination, right?
Wow!
I got to officially make my guy. The customization options are not what I would call thrilling, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to beat monsters to death and eat their yummy irradiated meat. To do that, we will also need to pick our class. One thing I realized from character creation pretty quickly is that it's mostly a scam. You see, a lot of the so-called classes give you starting levels and skills, but give you less perk points in return. The thing is, you can simply level those skills yourself in game very quickly for the early levels, but perks are character creation only. Once I realized this, I did myself the favor of starting over, so I can do what I do best: power game my perks. Now with the power of eating more, drinking more, and shitting more on my side, I was truly ready for some weird science. The game is set up with a linear progression that's based on areas, each one offering new resources that unlock new tools and sex toys for you at the crafting bench, ultimately culminating in unlocking a hacking tool that'll open the doors to the next area, which isn't too bad. Often, by the time you finish exploring an area, you've probably gathered enough of the key resources to make the tool you need to open up the door to the next. I say probably because the late game sometimes fails at that, the reactors area being the most guilty of this. The base building aspect is quite interesting, as you don't just want to put your personal goon cave anywhere, because you need power, and to have power, you need an outlet. However, power cuts out at night, so you'll need batteries to keep things turned on. Putting down a crafting bench defines the area as your base, which is important for when funny little guys decide to teleport directly into your asshole. While you can build anywhere that there's an outlet, there are some areas you will find that are quite obviously good base locations or designed with that as the intended use. The offices area, which is the first place you start out in, has quite a few different places with outlets, but a few of them just stand out as obviously great places to build. And this is true of almost every zone. Now you might be thinking, what did I mean by little guys who teleport into your asshole a moment ago? You see, every so often you'll get a pop-up telling you that a base raid is going to happen. Down the line, as you're moving through the game, larger varieties of enemies will show up asking if you have any weed.
This is a crayon.
But initially, it's just these funny little mutant fellows who pop out of portals directly inside of your home. This happens, of course, exclusively at night.
What are you doing, Step Bro?
because they want to catch you with your pants down jorking it. You can do things to add defenses to your base and later get an upgrade that stops portals from opening in your base altogether, but you can never actually stop this base raid mechanic from happening. Realistically, I never found it to be a particular threat, only very annoying. It does help that my friend and I set up our base in this security office with a door that closes and stays closed. This overall really cucked the mechanic, but even when we have defended other smaller forward bases, it was a bit of a nun pizza with left beef kind of situation. Pretty funny, but not particularly satisfying. That said, I actually really love base building in this game. I find the idea of finding a spot in this overrun SCP/Black Mesa facility to set up and hunker down in to be rather fun. I debated lots of different spots, and there are a lot of cool options for places to build, whether it's early on or later in the game. Converting an area into a bedroom, a kitchen, storage room, and so on is pretty fun and flavorful of an experience. And it tickles the part of my brain that got damaged when I was dropped as a child. Speaking of base building, I learned a pretty neat trick. You see, batteries have limited power. Each device connected to it further reduces its total battery life. But if you daisy chain batteries together, they become less efficient. While you can get bigger and better batteries, the math can still get complicated to get the number of batteries and devices per battery right to fully power all things all night. Except for one neat trick doctors don't want you to know about: laser converters. While it does come later in the game, you get this cool thing that shoots a laser, and then this cool thing that takes the big, long, thick, veiny laser into itself to become an outlet. Now, you might be thinking, why would you want this? Why would you want to plug something into an outlet to shoot a laser to create another singular outlet? Well, let me tell you. You see, if you plug a battery into the laser, that laser only counts as a single device. But the converter acts as an outlet with full power. So you can connect one laser dildo into one battery and power your entire base forever just using multi-plugs. Isn't that great? No, I don't have brain damage. Why are you asking? Progression, as I mentioned, is locked behind these hacking tools you make. Whenever you go to a new area, you will inevitably find new resources. In doing so, you will unlock new recipes, from weapons to tools, and of course, a upgraded hacking tool. Getting these resources with what you have the first time in is tough, but as you progress, these resources become easier to get. It's a pretty good way of slowing down progression. Each area is unique and often has its own theme with enemies that match it. On top of that, there are portal worlds, where you often have distinctly even more unique situations, such as a weird Silent Hill type environment or a zombie-infested mall, which does a very good job of changing things up. Variety is the spice of life, and you gotta balance your kinks lest you get bored. You also have these IS things, which are really just legally distinct SCPs. Some are dangerous, some actually fight you, some are neat to look at, and some become an object you will find yourself incapable of living without.
The Enrichment Center reminds you that the weighted companion cube will never threaten to stab you.
And despite the fact that it's just a ripoff, I found them pretty dang cool. Like, yeah, instead of an SCP that transports you to the tomboy dimension, it's an IS that sends you to the femboy dimension. Not particularly original, but honestly, I'll take either of those options anyway, so who needs originality? That said, the game does have an issue of reusing the exact same enemies over and over, but making them tougher with a new coat of paint and a new version of the same resources. The robots are the worst example of this. You spend a lot of time fighting the Assfucker 6000 only to go to the next zone where it's the Assfucker 7000 who walks faster. Then you move on to the 8000 series who also shoots a gun and fucked your mom. It's not particularly interesting. However, this is something I can generally forgive because the different areas are rather unique and fun to explore. There are some exceptions, but for the most part, every area has its own theme and a way to engage with it, which is pretty fun and keeps things interesting. The pattern of new zone means new resource means unlocking new tools progress that zone is not bad or uninteresting as a gameplay loop and keeps my ADHD brain engaged. The only real issue I found is that by the time I had enough new resources to build things besides the stuff I needed to progress, I often already had moved on to a new zone that started a new cycle. So I didn't get to engage much with the vast number of things I could build simply because I progressed past them being particularly useful. The cooking system is rather in-depth, which also gave my brain the dopamine it desires. Some foods give a bonus when eaten, but the vast majority just give some sort of mix between hunger and thirst, and really my only motivation for making a pie over a soup was that I could, and I thought that was neat. Pumpkin pie is more work and doesn't really give you any thirst back like soup, but the fact that I made it was cool, and so I just kept doing it. The big downside of this is that to unlock the soup recipes and then eventually the oven, you have to grind cooking, something that isn't particularly engaging and highlights my biggest complaint about the game: leveling up. Remember how I talked all about starting classes? The reason that they are a scam is because at most they give you a couple starting levels in something, which you will get very fast. But as you level up one of your Gorillion skills, the amount of XP you need goes up in pretty big chunks. But the gains don't actually get better, so you'll find yourself overweight, running around a room while spamming reload to just slowly farm these skills. Even if you put triple XP on, it'll take an enormous amount of time. Let me kind of break it down to better explain why this annoys me. Let's say I have the drug addict skill, a totally real skill that is definitely in the game. To level this skill, I need to do cocaine, which is great. We love that. But each time I take cocaine, I get 34 XP. Now, taking cocaine has some benefits. Let's say I become cracked at Call of Duty and it turns on auto-aim for its duration, so I take it often in combat. However, the drug lab is unlocked at level 7 of the drug addict skill and is used to make meth, which is awesome. If I were to play the whole game taking cocaine at a normal rate, I'd be level 7 with very little game actually left to play. So instead, I spent an entire afternoon snorting coke in my base, grinding XP so I can unlock this. Now, as much as I love cocaine, that doesn't seem like a particularly engaging way to play. Now, I don't know what the exact solution would be, whether it's increased XP rates or what, but there is definitely an issue between the total amount of gameplay and how long it takes to level up a skill if you are just using it regularly, not even over the top. I understand that maybe if you don't use blunt weapons, then your sharp weapon skill should be distinctly higher. But if I have to spend a bunch of hours running in a circle to get my strength skill up because I can't get it up through regular gameplay, I wonder if this was really the intended result, and if so, why? That said, the vast majority of my complaints are not deal breakers, because beyond those things I already mentioned, it's a delightfully charming game. The voice acting is bad, which is good. Everything is goofy, shitting is an actual mechanic, which is hilarious, and exploring with my friends was a lot of fun. I love games that allow me and my friends to explore a world together, solving problems, dealing with enemies, and generally experiencing it as a team. And AbiFactor does a really good job of giving me the satisfying dopamine hits that I crave. Is it perfect? No, it's clearly an indie game made by people working on dreams and limited resources, but it's a very fresh take on the survival craft genre and is overall a very good time. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go kill a bunch of uneducated farmers in another dimension who think I'm a witch, so I can steal their crops to bake pie. See you next time.